Hey, welcome to Sports Talk. I'm Bill Foley, your host. My brother Michael Foley. Glad to be here tonight. Phone number 751-5786. Appreciate some phone calls. We're going to talk about the World Series, some college football, NFL.
How about them Yankees?
Yankees. Yankees beat Boston 4-1. Big controversial series. The Braves, on the other hand, a hard-fought win against New York. That one could have went either way. But the Red Sox series with the Yankees.
Yeah, I love the Yankees, but the Red Sox seems like they got the short end of the deal on a few blown calls that really cost them opportunities to score.
Yeah,
you know?
no doubt.
That was pretty horrendous. And they got to investigate some of these umpires. What's going on with that?
Yeah, well, the umpires go ahead and admit they make the mistake after the game, but that doesn't help the team.
That don't help the cause at all. You got first and second, nobody out, and
Yeah, I mean, you're playing 162 games. You let an umpire decide your season for you, basically, in the best 4 out of 7 series. In them first 2 games, at least the first game for sure was taken away from them.
Definitely.
The second game, another opportunity, and then in that same game, the very next inning.
Yeah, don't they call Garcia Parr out at first? And,
in the
enough's enough. Boston fans wanted to run on the field and start beating people.
Yeah. Steinbrenner blames the manager for coming out and arguing, like Joe Torre wouldn't argue.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got the Braves, and we got the Yankees. Best out of 7 series starts in Atlanta. First 2 in Atlanta, next 3 in Yankee Stadium, followed by 2 in Atlanta if it goes that far. First game set up already. We got El Duque Hernandez going to Atlanta to face Tom Glavine. Glavine, a couple Cy Youngs. Then you got Maddox. Then you got Smoltz. And then then you got Millwood. Then you got Smoltz.
Well, it looks like familiar grounds for the Braves, don't it? But watch out for Yankees. Yankees, I think they're going to jump on Glavine early. They have to. I think it's going to be an ugly game for Glavine. Yankees are going to be on top of them.
Yeah, I favor the Yankees in the series, but you cannot not disrespect the Braves.
No, you can't. They're always there, but the Yankees got so much firepower. They're just an awesome team right now.
I'll tell you what the Braves got going for them, though. They got a lot of. I'm not a person that lives on talking about teams that have experience, but they've been, basically the team of the '90s. If the Yankees win this, they'll have 3 World Series, but less World Series appearances. But the Braves are always
always there.
Always
what's even amazing is that they couldn't even sell out the games.
Yeah, first 2 against them.
Because the fans are so used to them being there. It's like, what else are you doing in Atlanta?
No doubt about it.
Caller, we got a caller?
Caller, go.
Go ahead, caller.
Where'd you go, Ray? Ray Mallow was on the phone, guys.
Okay.
Call back, Ray.
He'll be back. We'll go to college football. Okay. We got number 3 Nebraska, 6-0, against number 18 Texas, 5-2. This game's a 9-point game. Nebraska favored on the road. I see a lot of difficulty for Nebraska in this game. I know they're favored, but Texas can put up, even against Nebraska's defense, 30 points. I mean, that's how high-powered their offense is, even though they have 2 losses.
Yeah, I think it's just going to come down to who's going to move the line, because that offensive line from Nebraska, and you got Crouch at quarterback, they can create a lot of problems for Texas. Texas is a funny team. One week they look strong.
Yo, Foley.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Mello calling, Ray Mello.
What's up, Ray?
You guys batted 100% on your pick of the weeks last week. It was fantastic. Dewey picked the Red Sox for the next day. He was right.
Yeah.
Mike picked Purdue. He was right. You picked the Redskins. You were right. I said, wow, these guys are wonderful.
Yeah, if everybody was sharp on that one, they could have had themselves locked in a nice 3-teamer right there.
3-teamers.
Yeah, we're all
wow.
driving Pintos here, though, Ray. We're not putting the money where it belongs, baby.
Well, I knew a race handicapper back in Vegas. His name was Frank Lovewell. And this Lovewell used to have a tip sheet out at a racetrack, Thistledown. He was doing fantastic. He was making all kinds of money. Selling the tip sheets because he was picking the right horses.
Right.
But then he saw everybody else making money off his picks, and he said, geez, I better start playing these picks. When he did, the sheet went under because he couldn't pick his nose.
Yeah.
Because somehow you
Your mindset
handicap differently when you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the thing is, we try and take our picks of the week and then we multiply them by 2 in the 3-teamers. So our picks of the week come in, and our 3-teamers don't, like a bunch of amateurs. But, that happens.
That's it.
Well, I'm interested in the Monday night game, of course, and the over. So at the end of the show or whatever, just give me your opinion there.
All right, Ray.
And also Sunday night, there's no game Sunday night because of the World Series.
Right.
No
Because of the
football.
World Series.
Yeah, we got Sunday night last night. That was a thriller game. We'll discuss that in a few
Yeah, we had a
minutes.
bonus plan last night, the Chiefs and Ravens, for those people who had nothing else to do.
And if you guys could finish up with your best pick of the week, that was great last week. I'm looking forward to it again this week. So
Hey, thanks for the call, Ray.
Have a
You're always
good
a good
night.
guy.
Thanks a lot, Ray.
Okay, we got Nebraska. Like I said, -9 at Texas. That's one of my best plays of the week. I like Texas at home plus the 9. I'm not. You know,
Texas, that's a big underdog at home.
Texas can win that game straight up.
Yeah, that's one of those games that can win straight up, where you can honestly see Nebraska just rolling.
Well,
that offensive line, they're eating that cornbread, mashed
I know,
potatoes.
but different things happen in Nebraska on the road. I mean, they're just, they have problems.
That's laying a lot of wood on the road.
That's a
We'll
big
see what
spread.
happens in that one.
Okay, we got Tennessee at Alabama, number 5
Hello.
Tennessee. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, how are you?
All right.
Where's Dewey today? Is he crying over the Red Sox again or what?
Hey, Alon, baby. I
Hi,
know
how
that
are you?
voice. No, Dewey's in New Hampshire. I had the pleasure of driving him to the airport at 7 in the
Dewey
morning.
could have walked to New Hampshire because of his Red Sox, a bunch of choke artists.
I
I don't want to hear any excuses. No more excuses.
You-
They can't match the mystique of the Yankees.
And next time, put your contacts in your eyeballs instead of holding them in your hands when you watch the games.
I appreciate it, Bill. Pick of the week this week, Fresno State.
Fresno State. Well, unfortunately, we're not going to cover that game in this discussion. Who are they playing?
They're
Elon?
playing UTEP.
UTEP?
That's correct.
What's the line in that game there, Alon?
It's 12.
All right.
Nice job, guys.
Thanks,
Bye,
Elon. Bye. Okay, Tennessee at Alabama. Tennessee ranked 5 in the country. Alabama ranked 10. Tennessee got the big name players. They got T. Martin. They got Jamal Lewis. But they're only favored by 3. Alabama, a big, strong home team. SEC rivals. It's going to be a hard-hitting.
That's going to be a big, huge game for Alabama. I like Alabama in that game. They're 5-1 this year, and I look for them they're a strong team. They're the kind of team you don't hear about them like you hear about Florida State, Florida, and Tennessee, but they're right back there in the picture. They're ranked 10th in the
they're
country,
great
aren't
home.
they?
Yeah, they're tough.
They're
tough
solid.
at home.
Solid at home, getting 3. I got to take Bama.
That's a tough game.
The
but-
Crimson Tide. I like the Tide.
That
is a tough game.
It's a tough
T-Bone, I
game.
mean, you're talking about the national champions. That is a tough one.
It's a
But
tough game.
I like Bama in that game.
And nobody can say Tennessee
I mean,
doesn't play.
Bama's going to be fired up for that
I know
game.
that. I know
That's their game of the season right there.
Tennessee doesn't play any wimps on their schedule. I mean, you
They
got
are-
at Alabama, they play Georgia, they play home against Notre Dame,
They
play
got the average
Florida.
in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
the
November.
average better do something.
Yeah, they will. They play just a huge schedule.
They do, definitely.
Game 3 college football we're going to talk about. Number 2 Penn State traveling to the Giant Killers. Number 2 Penn State traveling to Purdue. Number 16 in the country. Last week Purdue.
Giant killers on Purdue, huh?
Yeah, I mean they took Michigan State, handed them their lunch.
Wow.
Breeze over 500 yards
I love
passing.
Purdue last week. Purdue, that
Yeah.
Drew Brees, he's something else. That guy, he rises to the occasion. With these big games, he's there. His
Wow,
head
man.
is totally involved. 500 yards passing.
He's this year's Tim Couch.
No question about
He's
it.
got a lot of poise back there. I mean, he's played the Michigan State. He played Notre Dame. This week
He
he's
went
up
on the
against
road,
Penn
played
State.
Michigan.
Yeah.
A few
Right.
plays here and there, they could have been in that game.
Yeah, well,
But Michigan, it's hard to go into Michigan. You got 110,000 fans. But Drew Brees, I think, personally, he's right up there, one of the front runners for the Heisman, without question.
they got to watch out for one guy, though, on Penn State, LeVar Harrington, best linebacker in the country. Best linebacker I've seen since
Wow,
LT.
I seen him make a play last week with Ohio State. The running back slot came out of the backfield to block him. He hurdled the guy, I couldn't believe it, and sacked the quarterback. What an athletic play. This guy is something else.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're going to go to the NFL. Last night we both enjoyed an exciting game between the Chiefs and Ravens, but we're going to skip that one for now. First game on the agenda. At the start of the year, people would have thought this would be one of the highest rated games on Fox of the year. San Francisco comes into the Vikings. You got 2 different quarterbacks. Garcia starting for Young. We don't even know about Young's future. Cunningham out for the Vikings. Jeff George starting.
You have 2 quarterbacks here you wouldn't even think
Yeah.
would be playing. I mean, it would be the farthest thing from your mind possible that these 2 guys would be playing in a game, that would mean something like
Last week, Randy Moss, 10 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown. Even though the Vikings looked a lot better when Jeff George came into the game, you can't blame what's happened on Randall Cunningham. That Viking offense, that offensive coordinator, every time I see the start of the game and see his face on the screen, makes me get sick. Ray Sherman doesn't know what's he doing out there.
I don't know. He's making it real too complex
My
for what's
God.
going on with the Vikings. Vikings had an unbelievable, phenomenal season last year. And now that they lost Billick to the Ravens, but, the playbook was still there, and Cunningham knows what's going on. I think you got to really turn over the reins to Cunningham and say, look, what happened last year. You know what plays we called. You know what benefits the team. Who you have, the horses you got. You got to go to him. You got to let him call the plays.
Speaking of horses, Robert Smith is out again. It seems every year he misses
he's
a
hurt
month
this guy.
or 2 months. He's out with a hernia. And San Francisco and Minnesota, one of the supervisors at Terriblestown, Steve Kirker, called me up and let me know they're both of them 29th and 30th against the pass respectively.
Yeah.
I mean, that explains a 48 total now to 49. So that just lets you know everybody at Terriblestown knows a little bit about football.
That's right.
Second game we're going to talk about Denver at New England. Denver, 2 wins in a row, start out 0-4. New England, a heartbreaking loss last week to Miami, 31-30. Damon Heward comes in without. How do you lose without Marino?
Wow,
You know.
that's pretty amazing. How about Greasy? He started coming to his own a little
Yes,
bit.
he looks a lot better.
He started to look like he's being poised. He's starting to read the defenses a little better. He's going to be a solid quarterback.
Let's go to a caller.
Hi, this is Sally.
Hi, Sally.
Yeah, how could a Red Sox fan wear a Yankee shirt? By the way, Alon told me that if the Red Sox lost, Dewey's hat would be on flames.
What?
Dewey's hat would be in flames.
Is that right? Well,
Yep, how about doing that on the air, liven up the show?
hey, we could do a lot of things to liven
Yeah,
up the
no
show.
kidding.
But as far as being a Red Sox fan, he knows the whole story about that. That changed a few years ago when Clemens went to the Yankees. I'm just looking at it objectively now that I'm older and mature.
Well, you got players, growing up, being a fan of a team. I remember growing up, I was a Cowboys fan, solid, but it's like,
What do Cowboys have to do with the Yankees?
well, it has nothing to do with the Yankees, but what I'm saying is the way these players jump ships for money, the loyalty's not there, so it's hard for the fans to be there. That's what I'm
see,
saying.
the Red Sox fans accept
You're
Pedro.
saying you're a ship jumper?
Hold on. The Red Sox fans accept Pedro Martinez coming over from Montreal for the $95 million he made. Yet when Clemens left the Red Sox because he wanted an extra year on his contract, he's all of a
Right.
sudden a bad guy.
Yeah, Clemens was the
So
star.
are you, Bill, are you a Red Sox fan or a Yankee fan?
I'm a Red Sox fan. I like Roger Clemens. That's my answer. I mean, it's that
I don't
simple.
get-
Turn around. He's got
Well, it's like this. This is the example I gave Alon last week and Todd last week in our discussion. If my brother was a pro baseball player and played for the Red Sox and went to the Yankees, I'd still be a Red Sox fan, but I'd root for my brother to do good. That's
You
how I
have a
feel.
brother playing for the Red Sox?
All right, now I know you can put 2 and 2 together, so let's just do it from there. Let's end this conversation. and
No,
go back.
okay, you guys are cool.
Thanks, Sally.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, now that I need a Valium, let's go back to Denver and New England. New England minus 3.5. When Bledsoe's on, he's on. Like you were talking about Greasy, but
Bledsoe, it's like a catch-22 with this guy. He kills you if you bet the guy.
Yeah.
He kills you. If
He's
you bet
murder.
against him, he's murder. Him and Terry Glenn. It's like you don't know who's going to show up. If he's on that day, he's murder. But the way it's
Yeah.
been working with the Patriots, you got to wait till the last minute of the game.
yeah. Here's a key matchup. We talked about this in week 1. Washington going to Dallas. Redskins had 3 touchdown lead against Cowboys in game 1.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Fourth quarter, they had a 3 touchdown lead. They blow the game in overtime on a field goal, 38-35. Last week, Champ Bailey for the Redskins, rookie from
3
Georgia.
picks. Boy, he's
3
solid.
picks.
Is he? Yeah, he's
Oh,
awesome.
3 picks. And the Dallas offense, even though Michael Irvin, I think, only scored 1 touchdown last year, just seems, when he's not in there, to die even worse than it's been, which is dead. It dies even
Yeah,
worse.
talk about a pitiful game for Monday night. Was something else on, like MASH reruns
Yeah,
or something?
it
That
was
was
terrible.
a horrible
Wow.
game.
Wow, it couldn't get any worse than that. We had, even though at Lakeside we had lots of giveaways.
But
on
that's
Monday
right.
night.
We did have a lot of fun at Lakeside.
Yeah. He threw
Well,
four. He threw
Deion
forward on
threw a
him.
lateral, but it was a forward lateral, about a yard forward. Then they ran it all
Yeah.
back, but it was a forward
Forward
lateral.
lateral. Yeah, it was forward, but it was
forward.
momentum carried it forward. It was
Yeah,
a
his
forward.
momentum carried it about a yard further.
No,
No,
it was a good call.
surprisingly so, it was a good call.
Yeah, yeah. No replay.
No replay or none. It was
Yeah,
beautiful. The
it was-
refs
it
ran
was
off
good
the
to
field.
watch. Okay, our fourth
Yeah, if
game.
you had the Giants.
Yeah. Our fourth game, New Orleans at the Giants. Speaking about a thrill seeker here, the Giants minus 2.5 of the game. Even though the Saints are 1-4, 1-4 on the year, 3 games under 500, they've only been outscored by 8 points the whole season.
Yeah, I remember they should have
Well,
beat the Niners.
oh,
they
they
blew
could
that
be-
game
they
against
could
the
be
Niners. They blew the
4-1.
game against the Bears. They could very well be right up there with
Yeah,
the
they
Rams.
could be 4-1.
You're right. Well, game behind the Rams.
I think it was last week, I believe, or the week before, Ditka, before halftime.
Against Tennessee every game.
It was last week. No timeouts remaining in the first half. They had the ball on the 1-yard line, tried running up the middle with no timeouts with like 15 seconds left. They didn't score. Time ran out. They couldn't get back on the field. The New Orleans fans were booing. He flips them off. He yells obscene gestures to them like Mike Ditka would.
Yeah.
Fined $20,000 by the NFL.
Yeah.
But this is a guy, I mean, he wants to win so bad. You
That
know,
works so
Yeah.
hard. You can see that the Saints have. I don't care. They've definitely made huge strides in being a very competitive team. They had the Niners down. They had the Bears down.
Yeah.
Those are just some hard luck losses right there. That next year they're going to go their way.
well, everybody talks about Ricky Williams. You know, he's
Ricky,
not Edgerrin James,
he's
this and that.
he's the forgotten guy.
Yeah,
This guy.
but his quarterbacks are Billy Joe Tolliver.
Yeah, it
Billy
puts
Joe
too much
Harbert.
pressure on
I mean,
Ricky
yeah,
to do a
he-
lot. You know, he's got so much pressure
Yeah.
as it is with the trade of the century
Yeah.
to get him.
now I hate to say this on television. I kind of like the Saints in this game, even though they only have one win. Giants come off a big Monday
huge
night
win with the
win
Cowboys, no
against the
question.
Cowboys, saved by Tiki Barber on a kick return and a little screen pass.
You know,
they lose that game too.
you know what's amazing? That team was so dull
Oh.
to watch. And you know what's amazing? They were home and so dull to watch, and they're home again.
That's why 3.5 to me is a big number. If it's 2.5, it's a
You
tough
know,
game.
the bottom line is, the Saints are coming to play every game. They have this year. They just had some hard lucks, and that's the way it went.
Here's another one. Bears and the Buccaneers. Buccaneers coming in 7.5-point favorites. Bears at home last week. I mean, and this is the way football goes. They beat the Vikings the week before. They come home against the Eagles.
And lose
Yeah,
to the Eagles.
they lose
That's how
straight
football
up to
is.
the
It's all-
Eagles.
It's all about momentum. Who's up this week for this team
Yeah,
and who's not, you know?
This week, the Bears, though, they go to Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Tampa Bay's favored by 7.5 points, okay? Tampa Bay's favored by 7.5. They average 16.5 points a game. So, in other words, the bookmakers are telling you there's no way the Bears are getting 10 points. Yeah.
There's no way the Bears are going to score 7 or 8 points.
Yeah,
And
so-
the way I see it, that conference, the black and blue division,
Yeah.
it's like this. Laying that kind of points on the
With
road
that
or at
team.
home, whatever, with
My
that
God.
team.
They better hope for
I
pass
love the Bears
interference
to cover
calls.
this week.
They
7.5's too much.
Way
Trent
too
for the and the Bears, they're solid. They lost last week at home, but they're a competitive team.
McNown last week had a good game, 17 of 33.
I'm
A
surprised
little
he
over
did.
50%, 255 yards though. He had one touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions though was at the end of the, a throw up at the end of the half. You really don't count those. Phone number here 751-5786. We appreciate some phone calls. Anybody who's got any opinions or questions about this week's games, even how to bet football, or even questions about
Call and talk.
anything.
We got the
Yeah.
fight, Tyson fighting tomorrow.
Tyson fight. And if anybody forgot, we also got the Rebels and BYU tomorrow.
Around the corner, we got hoops coming too.
Yeah, hoops. Hoops.
Hoops, baby.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, this is Alan.
What's up, man?
Hey, I'm in mourning for my Red Sox.
I know it's.
Hey, that guy that writes that article, that sports column there in the Pahrump Valley Times, I'd shoot that guy if I saw him.
Hey, he was the first one that called here. Do me a favor. Meet me tomorrow about 9:30 at Terribles. He watches the game there. I'll point him out to you, and I'll go in the back, and nobody will see nothing.
Nobody will see
I'll
nothing.
That daylight side, that guy for writing about my Red Sox.
Yeah,
Well-
the Red Sox got. You know what? The Red Sox got the shaft. That
Yeah, it
series.
was
that series. After those 2 blown calls like that, it's like the series did. They took the heart
Takes
out
the
of it.
heart out of it.
You're fighting. It's hard enough to beat the Yankees as it is. The fans
Anyway.
want to see the Red Sox and the Yankees because you got a great rivalry right there as it is. You don't need the umpires taking it away from everybody.
Yeah. You know what it's like? It's like playing. Poker, Hold'em poker, and you got 2 aces in the hole, and the first card that comes up is an ace, and then the dealer screws up the deal.
Yeah.
There's no
Buck
game.
deal,
You
no
got 3
game.
bullets
You
out
got
there
a
from the
solid
start.
winner, but they take the deal
Yeah,
away.
it's, and
What I wanted to know is if I bet $40 on the Yankees to win the series, how much would I get back?
if you bet 40,
Yeah.
okay, the Yankees are minus 140, which means you bet 14 for every 10, so you would bet 28 to win 20, 42 to win 40. If you bet 40, it'd be like, 42 to win 30. So if you bet 40, it'd be like 40 to win 28. If you wanted to bet a flat 40.
Yeah.
So
pick up
to
28
win
bucks.
every 10, you'd have to bet 14, right?
Yeah, you-
28 to
14
win
to win
20.
We're gonna have some props up on the World Series though, at Terribles, like who has the most home runs,
How
who
about-
scores first and
Well,
last.
how about something like who has more hits, like a Jeter?
Yeah,
or
we're gonna
somebody?
have matchups. We're gonna have
That's good. Nice
Yeah, we're gonna have
propositions like
Chipper
that.
Jones, Bernie Williams matchups, some stuff like that.
Yeah, that
So-
sounds good.
Yeah, and you can parlay them at our place. You can do anything you want. You
That's
could-
fantastic
yeah.
that you can do
Oh,
that.
you could. Yeah, it isn't like Vegas. You
You're
could,
stuck betting a straight bet or
right.
something. You
Who
can
wants to-
parlay.
yeah, you could take $10 and make 300 if you pick 3 or 4 straight props.
Mary wants to know if Junior's slippers fit.
Hey, yeah, they do. Mary, hey, he walks around. You ought to see him walking around the house. All he's got on is his fluty shirt and his slippers. He's real cute. But I
Okay.
appreciate the phone call.
Thanks,
Okay,
Colin.
guys.
Keep watching.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All righty. Okay, this game was off the board all week. Philadelphia at Miami. Miami finally decides not to start Marino. He hasn't practiced all week. Heward starts against Philly. Philly wins last week on the road at Chicago. Miami comes in 9.5-point favorites with a backup, showing no respect at all to Philly. But last week, Tony Martin, a big game. They trade Abdul-Jabbar to Cleveland. You really don't know what to expect.
I
from
don't know
a guy
what's
like
going on with Miami. I think there's more behind what's going on in the press that you're seeing with Marino and all that than what you're actually seeing.
Right.
There's more to it. I think. Jimmy Johnson, he's kind of slick. I don't know.
that. He's like the IRS. You can't really trust him.
Can't trust him.
No.
No.
No, you can't really trust him. Anyway, they're 9.5. To me, that's. You know,
I like the Eagles this game too.
Do you?
I just have a feeling I like the Eagles. You know, Dan Marino, and and the people in Miami know what's going on too, more than what everybody else does. I think there's going to be a solemn mood over the whole stadium, and especially if let's say the Eagles come out and they get a return a kick at 7-0 to Philadelphia. They're going to want Marino in there. They don't want Horde in there.
I think after Marino came back against the Colts a couple of weeks ago and showed him the Dan Marino of old, I think a home loss to the Eagles.
Notice,
Not that it's going to happen, but I think that would put everything in perspective.
I think that would have to put Jimmy Johnson in his place and keep his mouth shut for the time that he's there and Marino's there. Because you know what? Bottom line is Marino's a Hall of Famer, and you got to give the man his props.
Well, he's not playing this week. I'm not saying Philadelphia's going to beat him, but I would like to see Philly beat him due to the fact Marino's not starting. Because you know what? Marino deserves more respect than Johnson gives him in the press. Marino's been a pro his whole career.
You've never heard
held
nothing
out.
bad about him.
He
The guy donates to charities.
Yeah.
He's a great role model.
One season he tore his Achilles. I mean, he missed games at the end of the season. He's played through injuries.
Look at
played
the
in
team.
freezing.
Look at the team Jimmy Johnson comes from with the Cowboys and all them hoodlums.
Yeah, Marino's one that definitely got to be considered. Well, you got so many decades of quarterbacks. He's definitely in the top 5, considered many to be the best. In my opinion,
When he ran it up on Notre Dame, that was enough for me. I can't stand Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, I remember that game too.
Crumb.
Here's a good game. Lions at the Panthers. Panthers -4. Lions. Last week at home, 25-23 victory against the Vikings. Carolina, George Seifert goes to San Francisco.
What a
beats
job
them.
Seifert's doing with that team. Is he proving that a coach can do? Call it. Go ahead. We got to call it?
Okay. Anyway, last week, San Francisco 31-29 losers to Carolina. Seifert goes into San Francisco and beats them.
Boy, that was sweet tasting for
man.
him, wasn't it? He loved that. He had
That
to.
tells me something. Seifert can motivate. I mean,
Seifert
'cause
is.
he wanted that win.
Yeah.
He wanted that win.
That, I think, separated him from being like a coach where they said that, okay, well, he was an assistant Bill Walsh had for him. He just proved right there. We went into Frisco and beat you.
Well, last week, Burline.
With Carolina of all teams.
Carolina,
that team's
Burline,
putrid.
23 of 36, 360 yards and 4 touchdowns.
See, he's doing something I thought Bill Parcells could do with Rick Meyer, and that's win with the quarterback that you're trying to kind of play conservative with. You know, Burline's been around the league. He's not been a superstar or nothing, but you know what? Seifert knows how to go on the road and win with him in San Francisco.
I think the difference, though, between Burline and Meyer is when Burline quarterbacks, he actually has a little bit of confidence out there. He looks like he wants to fade back.
Yeah,
and,
I think
he's
Meyer,
staying in the
I don't
pocket.
know if it's Meyer so unsure about himself or unsure about the system he's actually in.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems there.
Happy feet,
Speaking
scared.
of a lot of problems, Cincinnati at Indianapolis. Indianapolis -12. Cincinnati's only win coming against the Browns.
Yeah.
They stink. Indianapolis, they could put up 30 points at any time.
Yeah, that's a team. You just got to wonder when they really want to just play. It's like they have all the tools. They've shown it. They could just put up the points, you know. The defense, they got to get that straightened out. You have the offensive power.
Indianapolis got the total package. They got Edgerrin James last week, 26 carries, 111 yards. Peyton Manning has the longest streak of straight touchdowns with Pay. He has 18 straight games in which he's thrown at least one touchdown
He's so
pass.
solid. The guy's got a
Yeah,
mindset. He studies the game.
Yeah.
He is what you call, you're getting your money. You know, if you want to talk about getting your money's worth out of a quarterback because you're paying these guys top dollars, this guy's in his second year, and he is such a stud at that position.
Once the Favres and the Marinos and the Youngs leave in a couple of years,
He
Favre
is
will be a
taking
few
the
more
torch,
years
and
in.
he is definitely
Yeah,
the quarterback.
He's going to be the premier
without
quarterback in
without
this league.
question. He's
Size,
the Favre of the future.
arm.
That's it.
Here's another beauty. Cleveland at St. Louis. This is Samson and Goliath. St. Louis coming in.
Wow, are they the big
5-0.
boys of the league now? How about them St. Louis Rams? I remember talking about them earlier this year before Trent Green got hurt.
Yeah.
Or actually after Trent Green got hurt, and I was surprised that they're doing this good. Kurt Warner out of nowhere.
-20.5.
Wow.
When's the
Laying
last
a lot
time-
of winning.
When's the last time you've seen that? 20.5 in the pros?
Wow. I don't.
Well, when's the last time you had a team like Cleveland, though? One expansion team. You know, I'll tell you.
You know, I
what,
just keep thinking. You know, with Tim Couch, you got a lot of that coach back there. I mean, I know they're an expansion team, but you know, expansion team nowadays, you're getting free agents. You're getting guys who've been in the league here for a few years that ain't rookies.
Well, last week, Falk, 18 carries, 181 yards against Atlanta. Cleveland's been outscored by 16 points a game. They're leaving their grass field, going to St. Louis, playing indoors where the Rams' speed might take over.
Hey, Big B.
What's up?
Hey, what's happening, man? Special K.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's this? Eagles over the Dolphins, man?
No, you misunderstood. I'm just
No.
saying I would like to see that happen. I'm not picking that to happen. I'd like to see the Dolphins lose with Marino out of the lineup. That way Johnson's got to eat a little crow. He picks on Marino in the media instead of going face-to-face with him like a coward.
I agree with you there.
Huh?
Yeah, that's all we're
garbage.
saying. Yeah, that is
Okay.
garbage.
All right. Hey, by the way, where's my glass, man?
Your glass, which team you want?
Miami.
Miami. We haven't got Miami glasses in.
Oh, man. Okay.
I can get you any other team almost except Miami.
Hey, no way. We'll discuss it at work.
Okay, pal.
All right, man.
All right, babe. Thanks
Bye.
for the call. Cleveland at Miami. Like I said, Cleveland outscored 16 points a game going into the Dome. To take 20 and a half, you're going to be ahead probably for at least a quarter, maybe a half.
Yeah, you
Boy,
hope
Sam-
so. You know, but you see how the Rams just exploded all over the Niners last week?
Yeah.
Before you know, in the first quarter, it was 21-3.
Yeah.
It was ugly.
Yeah, well, the
early.
Rams' last unbeaten team. You got to figure they're going to remain unbeaten.
I got to be honest with you. I haven't seen a team like with the quarterback, and this guy, I haven't heard from him until this year. To be honest with you, Arena football, he's played, and then he played in the World League.
He's overcome
This
a lot
guy,
of adversity.
yeah, a lot of adversity. This guy is on a roll. I haven't seen a quarterback week in and week out just toss the ball like he's tossing
doing
it.
great.
That offense and him fit together like
He's doing
a
great.
glove. OJ's glove.
Yeah, OJ's glove. 1 o'clock games. We got Green Bay at San Diego. Packers coming in on the road, a 3-point favorite. Even that seems like a low number. San Diego's defense, one of the best in the NFL. They haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in 24 straight games. Green Bay comes in. Last week, Brett Favre, 7 of 23 for 120 yards.
Wow,
3
you know,
interceptions. He looked like it's probably the worst game he ever played.
You know, it's one of those games where Favre has those kind of games, but it's like he had it. I was all over the Packers last week because I honestly thought the Greasy would have a tough time. They're playing a good team with the Packers, but it's, Favre had a rough day that day.
We had a terrible day.
A terrible day.
San Diego, I mean,
How about the Chargers? Wow, they're
4-1.
solid.
They had the bye week to open the season. Everybody thought that was a running joke. They come into the season, they won 4 of their first 5. First place in the West, or tied for first with 1 loss.
Boy, they had tough defense.
Man, Junior Seau, they might be missing Harrison this week, but that defense is a swarming defense. And with him playing in the game, Seau in the game, nobody ever
Packers
relaxes.
laying the points on the road, and it's like, that game's a toss-up.
Well,
right
man
there.
for man, you look at the Packers and the Chargers, and you think there's no way the Chargers stay with them. But the defense, I mean, the defense is superior to Green Bay's, and sometimes, like they say, defense wins championships.
Yeah,
Offense wins games.
Chargers, and that division's up for grabs right now. The Chargers, if you're in San Diego right now, you're
Yeah,
stoked.
and
You're
you could-
happy right now.
And you could still get good odds on the Chargers to win the Super Bowl just right down the road.
right down.
Right down the road. Anyway, Jets at the Raiders. Jets coming in 1-5. Oakland 3-3. Oakland a big win last week at Buffalo. A shocker. I mean,
I don't know. I had Oakland. And I
Yeah,
honestly
but not
thought
many people did.
No, but I did, and I'm proud to say it. I had Oakland last week, and I honestly thought they was going to go in and beat it. I just had a feeling. The Raiders they're a solid team. They should have beat the Packers in Green Bay.
Well, last week Curtis Martin over 100 yards rushing. Okay, but Buffalo's defense against the run, one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. As of last week, they were, I think, second in the league against the run. Rick Myers starts this week. The Jets quarterback Ray Lucas got hurt on the last play of the game last week, so Myers back in. I mean,
And what kind of confidence has he got? Because he got benched for that crummy showing on Monday night. But you know
Yeah.
what? Some of it was his fault. But you know what? A lot of it was Bill Parcells' fault. Because Bill Parcells had Meyer as a backup to begin with. And the bottom line is he could have used him in a different way, like the week before, throwing screens and doing something. He killed his confidence. What kind of confidence has this kid got coming back after Ray Lucas broke his hand or finger?
another thing is the Jets are still competitive, no matter what.
Yeah,
they
they
got
are.
a nice defense. Wayne Corbett came
The
back
defense
last week.
is the only thing keeping them in the game at all.
Let me
is
tell
the
you something.
defense.
Wayne Corbett, if anybody out there doesn't know who he is, to me the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. He means a lot. He's an under receiver, possession receiver, surprising speed. I think with him in the game and Keyshawn Johnson in the game, Rick Myrer with a couple of fake handoffs or
Yeah.
play actions, you get them guys open. To me, the Jets are one of the best plays of the week. I look for the Jets to beat Oakland. straight up
And
on
I
the
could see that happen. You're talking about Bill Parcells here. The bottom line is he can get his team motivated at any given time, no matter what he has going on. Losing Testaverde, I honestly thought, they'd miss a little bit of a beat the first week or two, but I thought he'd catch stride with Rick Meyer. But he disappointed me against Jacksonville. That was a terrible showing. But like you said, though, this week he could just pull it out, in Oakland.
Last week, the Jets lose to Indianapolis 16-13. I mean, that's how good their defense is. I mean, their defense is solid. They hold
are
Peyton
solid.
Manning to 16 points.
Brian Cox, he gets fired up way out there, don't he?
They got a nice defense. And 1-5, I know it's long shot. I still don't count the Jets out. They could finish 9-7 and 10-6 and still
They're a
make
funny
the playoffs.
team, you don't know what can
gotta-
happen,
you
but
still
you can't count
They're
Bill
competitive.
Parcells out.
They're
There's
competitive.
no way.
6.5 points is a lot of points. Sunday, the last game, Buffalo at the Seahawks. Seahawks coming in a 2.5-point favorite. Buffalo loses their number 1 receiver last week, Moles.
Yeah, Moles, he's
He's out
isn't
for a few weeks. Next week, Seattle has Green Bay on the agenda. Holmgren in Seattle.
he? Who's home in that game? Green Bay? Seattle? Or
I
who?
think Seattle's home.
Seattle's home.
It doesn't matter who's home. Whatever it is, these teams are looking forward.
Yeah, and that, you know what? I don't care. The bottom line, he won a Super Bowl with Green Bay, but you know what? There's a lot of love lost there. They're not too happy
Galloway's
about what
still
he
out
did.
for Seattle.
Yeah,
They're missing a lot.
They're missing a lot. They need to sign him. Holmgren, you need to get a clue. He's he's in the top 3 best receivers in the league. His speed's untouchable. You
Yeah.
get him out in the fly and he catches it, he's gone. He's unstoppable.
But if I'm Holmgren, I look at it this way.
yeah,
I look at it. We offered you $35 million, and you know it too.
yeah,
you feel
that's
the same way.
I feel the same
5
way.
years for $35 million. That's only $7 million a year. What can you possibly do with $7 million? To catch a football, you can fake an injury and sit out the rest of the year if you want. Just sign your contract. You know what I'm saying? $35 million is a lot of cash. Anyway, this game to me is going to be a low-scoring game. I look for John Kitna to be on the run the whole night. I mean, I look for Buffalo to win this game on the road, even though they lose Moles.
So do I. I like Buffalo too.
Seattle.
Flutie, he's one of those. He goes on the road and he gets his team going. He does a little scrappy play here.
You want
He's
to root for him.
He is tough as nails.
You want to root for him. Speaking of Flutie, I want to say hello, William. Hope you're watching, little
What's
buddy.
up, little buddy?
Okay, Monday night. I want to take this time here, a little promotional thing here. Monday night at Lakeside, we have our
Look at the
Our
stuff they're
football
giving
party.
away at Lakeside.
just some of the things here. We have for this Monday night, Atlanta at Pittsburgh. We always buy for the teams that play. Steelers football, authentic NFL football, gives you inscriptions of when they started, when their team started, then how many Super Bowls they won, the years they won. A lot of stats on there.
This ain't cheap.
Yeah,
This isn't
next
cheap
week
stuff.
the Packers are playing. I picked this up today in Vegas. A big nice Packers jacket. These are just giveaways, free admission, no charge.
Giveaways.
Let's see here. Got a bunch of Steeler stuff for the weekend. Anybody want to be a bus? There's a bus right there, number 36.
Transit, baby. Look at that. Jerome Bettis.
Jerome Bettis. We got Stewart, even though he'll be running around for his life.
Yeah. Well,
We got footballs. We got helmets. One more thing I want to show. Look at this Steeler.
this is some great stuff.
Yeah, one more thing. Steeler jersey here. Not a regular jersey. This is it.
Well, that's
Turn
where
it
is-
around.
Look at that. That's sharp.
Got the P on there.
Look at that. That's sharp.
Really, really nice stuff. I got a buddy that owns a sports shop. Gives it to us at a nice price. This is stuff
Authentic
you gotta,
NFL stuff. Look at that.
This is
NFL.
stuff you got to pay $50, $60 for.
Giving
when you
away.
go to a
Just
regular
show up at Lakeside. Got a great party going on.
And then we're going to start doing next week at Lakeside. John Thielman called me in his office yesterday. When you bet a parlay, when you bet a parlay from between $10 and $50, if you lose your parlay, throw that ticket in a drum. Then Monday nights at Lakeside, you write your name on that ticket. If we pull your name out, we're going to have 3 drawings. It pays 20 times whatever you bet,
The loser ticket?
the losing ticket.
You're
10
kidding
times whatever you bet, or 5 times whatever you bet. You bet a $50 parlay, you lose it, you throw it in that drum, we pull it out, the first ticket. If we pull your ticket out, that's 20 times your bet. That's $1,000, like hitting a royal flush.
For a losing ticket? You
Right.
put
So
out
if
a
you
drum?
lose, you can still win. I mean, we got.
Oh, wow.
You can't beat this, and there's no admission. $2 for $2, you get a glass of beer. You keep the glass. NFL team refills are $1. With that, you get a hot dog or a piece of pizza. Great deal on Monday nights. Big
Great
screen.
deal. You can't beat it.
And the second half of the NFL season, well, we got some marquee games. I mean, we got Seattle, Green Bay coming up, Jacksonville, Denver, Minnesota, Dallas, Minnesota, Green Bay.
Wow. Huge games. That's going to be
And
party
we're just gonna
central.
be, yeah, we're just going to
Lakeside.
be increasing them for the really huge games. You're going to be talking about probably 6 jerseys for a Vikings-Packers game, 3 Packers jerseys.
Yeah, you're
3
talking
Vikings
$60,
jackets.
$60 jerseys. This is some great stuff.
Plus, we got watches and hats and clocks. I mean, it's a great time. Come on down. It's a good time for everybody. Our screens are crystal clear, great sound, nice and roomy.
Oh, yeah, big, huge room. You got a big movie screen with
Right.
the football. You couldn't ask for no more. Beer, pizza, hot dogs, giveaways. It's the best.
And the room has already been reserved for Super Sunday. So if you're making any plans, any Sunday, Super Sunday at Lakeside.
Got to be there. You got to be
It's
there.
gonna be a blast. The giveaways, the food, everything is going to be so reasonable as far as the food, but the giveaways are absolutely free.
You
Drawings
can't
for
beat it.
cash,
Every Monday, so
free
far every
bets.
Monday's like a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Super Bowl giveaway.
Yeah. Speaking about Monday night, we're glad to have the Atlanta Falcons on again. 1-5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers coming in 3-3.
I'm glad it's in Pittsburgh because
Yeah,
you
so
know
am
what?
I.
The home crew, that's a football town.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real lot of enthusiasm Monday night. You know, and maybe Cordell can kind of play a little bit better than he's usually playing.
Well, is the season over for the Falcons? They're 1-5. Last week against the Rams at home, destroyed 41-13.
Yeah, Chandler played. You know, it's just that they look like the original Falcons. Cinderella was playing for him last year, and now she's the old hag sweeping up floors somewhere.
Yeah, 18 carries for Falk. 18 carries, 181 yards. The Falk's getting 10 yards a carry.
How about old Marshall? They got rid of him in Indianapolis. The St. Louis Rams said, give him to me. We'll take him.
But the
no
bus
problem.
this week, the bus, last week, 26 carries, 142 yards. The key here, to me, and I don't bet favorites very often, the key here is Pittsburgh's 0-2 at home. If they're ever going to win a game at home, start
It's got to be on Monday night
game.
against the Falcons. If not, you know what? They better pack the season up, too.
Yeah, they're 3-3. This is a must-win situation.
Definitely,
Game-
even for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, a game they're expected to
Bill
win.
Foley,
Yes.
I love your uniform.
Which one?
The one that you're wearing.
Oh, thank you. Who's calling?
Pat Wall,
Hi, how you doing?
cool and groovy.
Who do you like?
The Yankees, of course.
How many games?
Oh, don't ask me in-depth things. I think they're going to sweep it.
Well, why
that?
waste time?
Yeah.
Right?
Is that okay?
That's fine with me.
Well, you guys are doing great. Talk
Thank
to you
you.
later.
Appreciate
Thanks for the
it.
call.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's go back to the Yankees. The only thing with a sweep is I don't think the TV networks approve of that.
No, they want to keep it going.
Yeah, they'll press the
So
buzzer,
much money
save.
involved.
Yeah.
I wonder what is it, $1 million? It's at least $1 million for a 40-second spot
Yeah.
now in the World Series. It's something crazy.
Yeah. Boxing tomorrow night. Ironless Mike Tyson against Orlin Norris. Tyson is a 10-1 favorite. Norris coming back at 6 or 7-1, depending on where you're playing.
Both fighters look in real good shape for this. You know, I'm surprised. Mike, he looks in tremendous shape for this. He lost 60 pounds since coming out of the joint.
Yeah.
He's used to being there. But anyway,
I don't want to seem biased in this situation, but I don't want to see Mike Tyson win any fights.
no, the thing is with Mike, you know, he gets his egos just takes over. You know, his head gets his mindset's just so far gone. He's the baddest man.
Yeah.
His mouth, you know.
Yeah, and the whole thing that bothers me is he's won like 3 fights in the last 8 years, and he's getting $25 million to fight. You know, I mean, you guys got to be realistic here. He has beaten nobody in his whole career.
Yeah, pretty much so. He's, you know, they put him
He
up.
never fought Bo. He's
No, he's never fought Bo.
twice.
He's lost to Holyfield
Never
twice.
fought
He's never
Foreman.
fought Foreman.
Never
He's fought Larry. He's
never-
fought Larry Holmes
yeah.
when he was washed
Yeah,
up.
never fought Lennox Lewis. Lost to Buster Douglas in Japan. He has not beaten.
See, and I think, you know, I don't think it's so much. Why I agree with you as far as him not fighting the guys. That's Don King. He's making the loot off
Yeah.
the whole deal. Don King knows what he has and knows what he can work with. Don King knew all along. If you put Mike Tyson in the ring with somebody like even a Foreman at that time when he first Foreman could have knocked
He
him
wouldn't
out.
have fought for him. He didn't fight
He
for
didn't
him.
want to fight
No.
for him. He ducked him for years.
You see what he did to Joe Frazier in '73? Knocked him down 5 times in 3 minutes. That was 4 minutes. That was enough.
Yeah, and he's a Tyson protege. You know, Mike's explosive with those hands. Mike's in shape for this fight. I think he's going to come out real aggressive. He's going to try to be. Orlin Norris, though, he's been active for the last 3.5 years. He's fought 8 times in the last 3.5 years, where Mike's been fighting 1 time a year for the last 7, 8 years. He's fought 8 fights in 8 years or something like that. That inactivity is going to hurt him, I think. He was losing against Francois Botha, but Botha got overconfident and got knocked out. I think if Norris has a better mindset and his cornermen are more into the game, into the fight,
Yeah.
if he can keep it around, if he can get past the 5th round, I think Norris can steal it. I honestly do.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. Anyway, I'm done talking about Mike Tyson. Let's talk about our best bets of the week. Who do you like? Who do you favor in the NFL?
Who do I favor in the NFL? Well, I'll tell you what. I like the Chicago Bears a lot.
Yeah, that's a yes. So you're talking
If you're
about.
getting 7 in the juice, 7 in the hook, I like the Bears. I think the Bears are going to cover. I think it's going to be an ugly defensive game. I like the Bears. They can even possibly steal, but I think they're going to cover the 7.5.
Well, the 2 pro games I favor them all. I like Carolina, even though they went into Frisco last week, might have a letdown this and that.
I like Carolina too.
Yeah, Detroit played at Minnesota. They're in the same situation, but the only thing is Carolina has an offense that could put up 35 points.
And you know who else I think I might be a sleeper I like too is it's the Chargers. I think
home
they
against
can
Green
beat.
Bay.
I think they can beat the Packers.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those games. If you don't make no turnovers because you got to, If Junior Seau's on the loose, if you don't
Yeah.
stop him, Favre, you're gonna have a long day. In college football, who do you like?
College football, I like Texas.
You like
Home
that?
dog.
You like Texas plus the 9?
Longhorns. Hook 'em horns, baby. Longhorns this weekend.
Yeah, that's a lot of points at home. That's a.
They can score, though. I mean,
They can score, but you got to wonder what's going on with that team.
okay, well, last year Nebraska's at home in their home opener against Louisiana Tech gives up 30-some points to Louisiana Tech. They're going to Texas this year. Major Applewhite well, I don't know how great a quarterback he is, but I know the offense scores a lot when he throws.
Yeah.
So, to me, Texas is scoring.
Well, there's a couple picks I like this week. I like Bama over Tennessee. I like them at home
Tough
getting
game.
the points.
Tough game.
It's going to be a big, huge game. They're going to be into it. T. Martin's going to have to play a real solid game. He makes any turnovers here and there and get that home crowd going. It could be a long day for Tennessee.
Okay. 7515786. We only got about 15 minutes left, 10, 15 minutes. How about the Rebels Saturday night against BYU?
Rebels playing their biggest game of
Yep.
the season
Coming
at
home.
homecoming against the BYU Cougars, who are ranked 19th in the country. What a huge game for the
Yeah,
Rebels.
they got over 30,000 tickets already sold for the
Rebel
game.
football is alive again. Unbelievable after how many years?
Well, a long time. Remember, they sold 30,000 tickets with the Tyson fight the same night. They changed the time to 7:30. It's going to be televised.
They made an adjustment, yeah.
It's going to be televised on Channel 8. I'm a Rebel backer, I got to say that. I'm sorry. Rebels are televised locally.
That's
at
right. They are.
7:30.
Channel 8, watch them.
So you can't play them, but it's the biggest
Prump,
game.
it's
in
your
the-
local team, too,
Yeah,
Prump.
everybody root for the Rebels. John Robinson's worked his butt off.
Sure has.
Caller?
Yeah, it's Bello. What about the over on Monday night? Come on, you guys, get with it now. Did
Well-
we discuss what kind of points they're going
Yeah,
to be scoring or what?
I was thinking about it myself. I look for Pittsburgh, who don't score very many points, to get 28 to 35 points. I look for Pittsburgh to have a
You
nice
know what?
night score.
I'll be honest with you. I look for them to get 2 touchdowns on defense.
Yeah.
I see Chandler, whoever's back
Chandler
there.
got hurt again last week.
Okay, who's going back there. They're at home, Pittsburgh, and it's a big game. It's Monday Night Football, and it's their breaking out game this year. It wasn't against Cleveland.
0-2 at home already.
That's right. You know what? It's Cowher. You're going to have to win this one, buddy. You're going to have to answer the press after this one. You're playing the Falcons. I look for the over to go over, too. I look for something like 28 to 13.
Yeah, I'm looking.
So 37.5 is what the line is right now, right?
Yeah, I love it. It's going
Yeah,
over.
take it easy on us, Ray, will you?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay, I won't hammer you too hard. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, baby.
Thanks, Ray.
Did you see that? Did you watch that USC Notre Dame game?
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to comment on that. Go ahead, or you haven't had a chance to talk to you about it. Tell me about it.
Okay.
What happened?
Notre Dame trailed in that game. I believe they were down by 17 points late in the game. In the classic Notre Dame USC type tradition, USC Notre Dame goes down to a 1-point game. USC has a chance to win it. Notre Dame gets the ball at the end, runs the clock out. But those games, I mean, that's what college football is all about, is tradition. Notre Dame down, they're not out. If USC was down, they wouldn't be out.
Exactly.
You know.
If they were playing, it's like, if USC was home, it would have been
Yeah,
the same
yeah,
situation.
exactly.
I remember even seeing I went and seen the Rebels play at USC a couple years back
When
the
Denton was
Rebels
quarterback.
had John Denton, and the Rebels were up 3 touchdowns, and
Yeah.
USC came back in the second
And
half.
John Robinson was coaching.
And
SC.
John Robinson was coaching the other side. He was coaching SC.
But I think my best college play of the week, I look for Penn State, Purdue. I look for Purdue to pull up another upset. I don't care if Penn
That
State's
game-
number 2 in the country or not. They've
That,
played a tough
it's,
schedule, man.
and
They've proven
I'm sitting there
themselves.
looking at that game. You got Penn State where they landed 3.5 on the road. It's like, wow, you got Purdue at home. You got Breeze. You got a solid team. You know they can beat Penn State. You got to wonder if the emotions are still there after demolishing Michigan State last week. But how can you not get up for Penn State? I think Purdue they could very well cover, but then you got Joe Pa on the other side.
Well, what I like to do is time taking a game and analyzing it against another game, even though it might not mean something sometimes. The first game of the season, Penn State is a 4-point favorite against Arizona, 3.5, 4-point favorite. Remember,
Yeah.
they beat them 50-something to 7 or whatever
Yeah.
it was. It was like 45-0. Okay, they're basically at home in that game, favored by 4. Now they're going to Purdue, who's already beaten Michigan State, lost to beaten Notre
The
Dame.
thing in that game you got to watch out for, and it's you have even mentioned him, is LeVar Harrington
Yeah.
on Drew Brees.
Yeah.
That right there, you got to contain this guy because this guy is a phenomenal player. I haven't seen a defensive player like him in years. I mean, he's such a protege of Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
He's solid.
Powerful, speed. The plays I've seen him made last week against Ohio State, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, speaking of proteges of Lawrence Taylor, Warwick is still out for Florida State this week.
That's another protege of Lawrence Taylor.
Here, he's still out this week, but he's going to serve no jail time.
No,
Okay,
Crossbar Motel, he ain't going to say it.
some key matchups this week in the NFL. Just going over the records, the standpoint from standings. San Francisco 3-3 at Minnesota 2-4. Minnesota loses another home game, wipe the season clean. They got no shot. They go
No
to
shot.
2-5, it's over. That'd be like 3 losses at home.
You know, it's
already.
like Minnesota, they're soul surgeon right now. They're like, you know, they don't know what to go to. They're like, you've got Robert Smith out there in disarray with the running situation. You got a quarterback, you don't know who to point the blame there. It's like, it seems like they're kind of putting the blame on Cunningham. You know, Cunningham had a phenomenal season last year, and I'm not taking nothing away from, like, Jeff George, because he came in and he did he sparked the team last week. But you know who blew the game last week? The coaching staff
Yeah,
for
there's
the
no doubt
Vikings.
about it. It's
They
the same
exploded.
story
They
every
were
week.
winning against Detroit, and they get all the way down an 18-yard line. And they decide to hand off 3 straight times and go for the conservative. He gave Detroit enough time to come back and lose the game. So you know what, Minnesota? It's your coaching staff with the problem.
Yeah, like Randy Moss said, he came in the locker room, he was fuming. He said on 3rd down from the 12-yard line, I wanted to go in the end zone.
How do you not go to Randy Moss in the end zone? There ain't a cornerback, not one, not two, that can stop him. He can out-jump any of them. 42-inch vertical jump. He's 6'4". You're not going to stop
Like
him.
he said, last year we
Throw
went
it up for
it.
grabs. He's going to get it.
Last year we went for it and got it. This year we don't go for it and we're getting it.
Yeah, you
know
don't
where
go
they're
for
getting
it.
it.
You got to be a hungry team. Last year, Minnesota was a hungry team, and they were unstoppable. They were an explosive, exciting team to watch. And now it's just you're missing
Jeff
it.
George is supposedly going to be their savior. We'll see. George has never had talent
No,
like
it's
he's got now.
Billick left, and the whole offensive calling plays is all on Sherman, and he's doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
And Dennis Green's allowing it to happen. So you know what, Dennis, you're doing a terrible job too.
Yeah, it's time they make some type of change.
Yeah,
on
and
offense.
it ain't Randall Cunningham the scapegoat. He had a phenomenal year last year.
And even this year, it's a so-so year. Not enough to bench your quarterback. He'd be a starter on 24 out of 29 teams.
They gave him a monster contract because of what he did last year. They knew he could do it. He's always done it.
Here's a funny game we talked about earlier. The Bears at Tampa Bay. You like the Bears. Bears coming in 3-3. Tampa Bay is 2-3, yet they're 7.5-point favorites. They're only
What's the book? Wait, what's the guys making these lines seeing right here? I don't know. They're for 2 and 3.
that's a big favorite. That's a real big favorite.
That's more than a touchdown
That's a real big favorite.
against the Bears. The Bears cover.
Yeah, let me put you in this situation. How about the Bears start the game 7-0? You got Tampa Bay minus 7.5, and you're down 14.5 to nothing to a team that averages 17 points or 20 points a game. You're
Yeah,
in
I got
deep
news
trouble.
for you. The total's 37 for a reason because they don't expect both teams to score a whole lot. And if the Buccaneers are down 7-0,
Yeah, it's a long night.
that's a long day, especially if you have the Bucks laying 7.5. You're down 2 touchdowns, more juice.
Yeah. Anyway, Monday night, we were talking about earlier, Monday night at Lakeside. We do have our Monday night party. No admission. You get 2 tickets when you walk in the door. We had a lot of people there last week. A lot of Steeler fans down there. And we got a lot of marquee matchups coming up the next couple of weeks. We spend a lot of money on these parties.
Look
a lot
at the
of
stuff they're giving away.
A lot
You
of
can't
quality
beat it.
souvenirs, and of course our Super Bowl party coming up in January. But come down to Terriblestown. We're gonna have props on a lot of the World Series, position by position players, most home runs.
And you
who's
can
gonna
parlay
score,
some of
and
this
you can
stuff?
you can parlay almost every one except for the ones that give you like 3-1, 4-1 odds. Go ahead.
Yeah, you guys almost had me hooked until I heard you say something about Kirker knowing something about football.
Kirk, that was earlier in the show. We tried winning you back over. Who's calling?
Huh?
Who's calling?
This is Fred.
Hey, Fred.
How you doing, Fred?
Who do you like this weekend?
I-
Don't
You
worry,
know,
your opinion.
Your opinion,
matters,
your
trust
opinion
me.
does matter.
Yeah,
Trust me.
We need some help here. Who do
I
you like?
I like the Bears.
Yeah, I mean,
good. I like that's a good play. I think
that's
this
the
week.
black and blue division. That that isn't.
Yeah. Let's let it be 6-3.
You never know.
It could be 6-3 the way those teams
And if
play.
the Bears are winning 6-3, you got no chance of losing, getting 7.5, right?
No chance.
Yeah.
I like the Bears a
So I'll
lot.
probably bet it and go down the tubes.
Well,
Come on now.
Come down and see us at the stoplight and step on in. All right.
Listen, one of these nights when you got time,
Okay.
for some of the neophytes in town, and I know there are a few of them,
Explain how you establish a line on a game, the factors that you take into consideration.
Okay, we have time now. We got no other football to talk about. Basically, what we do, not to get too technical, is I got a computer screen with the line on all the houses in Vegas, overseas, lines in countries that book, that take
Morocco
action.
and a few.
Right, the islands. I'll look at their line, and on some of the games I'll even use opinions on. Like last week, I had Indianapolis -3.5, and they were 2.5 at other spots. I had I put Washington up 3.5, and even though there were 3 everywhere, and still had to go to 4 points on them because people are playing Washington. People are playing the Rams last week. I had the Rams at 5.5-point favorites. Every place in Las Vegas had 4 points, and they still bet the Rams at 5.5, moved them to 6. They bet them at 6. They didn't stop playing them. So I mean, when you work in a sports book or you're making the lines, you got to adjust your lines to how the people are playing them at your specific spot.
You try and put a number up where you're going to get action on both sides. That's the whole key. And if you get it on one side, you keep moving it. You keep moving it until you start taking on the other side. Like you said with the Rams game, they could have went Vegas or anywhere.
Yeah. Well, this week, just as an example, the Rams were using as a 20.5-point favorite, and not to name other places, but there's other places you can see 18.5, 19, and 19.5. No 20s, no 20.5s out there, but all we're getting is Ram money. So I mean,
if you like the Browns, though, look what you got.
Yeah.
You're getting 20.5 instead of getting 18.
And then,
instead of getting 19.
Then if we get money on the Browns, we adjust the line
That's
down.
right. You move it back down.
If we're getting a few hundred out of 20.5, we'll move it to 20, and so on and so forth. So you put a line out there basically as a feeler, compatible with most of the lines around town. Say let's say the Packers open up at 3. If you favor the Chargers, put them at maybe 2.5 and take a bet, and then move them to 3. But I mean, you don't
see where it's going first.
Yeah, you want to attract business. You don't want to put out the same lines that everybody else is, because nobody does know the final score. Anything can happen in an NFL game. All I want is half the money on one side and half the money on the other. And to do that, you got to pay attention to how the action's going at your spot, because some spots don't have the same type of action as the other spots.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good to me.
Thanks for calling.
And I'm sure glad you guys no longer look like the Osmond brothers.
Who? Oh, with the purple?
Thanks, Freddie.
I got you, pal. Okay, well, let's talk. We got one or two more games to talk about. College football, we got a Big Ten matchup. We got Michigan State going to Wisconsin, even though we didn't talk about it earlier. Michigan State last week after losing to Purdue.
That's my that's one of my other college games that I like. I like Wisconsin.
Yeah,
I do. Dane, the great Dane at home.
Yeah.
Michigan State's coming off a loss, and you know what? They really got a thrashing last week. They got lunch served to them, and they're coming. Now they're going into Wisconsin. You're going to Badger country, okay? And Dane is going to be a load to take down. This guy's on a quest. He's looking to pass Ricky Williams for the rushing yardage, and Barry Alvarez. I think he's just going to feed him the ball. They got to stop him first.
You know Jimmy that works at Terribles? Jimmy?
Yeah.
Jim Miller. Big Wisconsin fan, big Green Bay fan. I love the reaction on his face when Dane gets a big run. He just loves the Badgers.
Oh, yeah, he's totally...
Dane is so awesome. He is awesome. Power, speed.
He looks like a defensive lineman running the football.
Big
he's
and
that
strong,
big
good
and strong.
hands.
Fast, too. It's unbelievable how fast this guy is.
The only thing he's got to keep is them ankle injuries under wraps. He's had problems with those ankles.
Yeah, because he's a big guy.
Yeah. One last pro game we want to talk about before we go. Dallas and Washington. We talked earlier about how they met in the first week of the season. How that would, a lot of that would determine how the season went. Well, Washington starts out with a 21-point lead.
Isn't that a flip side the way the whole thing is? Because we talked about that. We says whoever's going to win this game, I think that's going to dictate the way the season's going to go. And Dallas, they come from behind, they win the way they do. Mm-hmm. And now it's like a couple weeks later go by, they're on a roll. Now it's just turned for the worse for them. They look like a team in dire straits.
They got a big 0 Monday night the way they played the
Giants.
Giants.
They look so horrible Monday night. I mean,
so
come
boring.
on. These underneath passes. I mean,
even when you're drinking beer at a Monday night party,
you try and make the game interesting. You got beer. You got buddies watching the game. You're at Lakeside hooting and hollering.
Yep.
But when you got to score 3-3 or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah. I'll give the people credit. They stuck it out, though.
Yeah, they did.
But like I was saying about the Monday night games, we got some mega matchups coming. We got the Niners on a couple more times. Even though they're struggling right now, they're a very public team, and they're exciting to watch. They're putting points on the board. When you get teams that put points on the board, the Niners, the Vikings, the Packers.
Niners. They slipped a little bit. The Niners got a following. They're the Niners.
Yeah.
That's
Monday
simple.
nights are going to be very exciting in the weeks to come. And I believe we have 2 more weeks to go on our Terriblestown football contest for the first half, to where we present winners for the first half with $3,000, $2,000, and $1,000. So a couple weeks to go on that. And
Terrible.
yeah, down at Terrible. We're heading down to Terribles. I'll take Miller Lite on ice and a Bud Light on ice. Janie, Mike, see you down there. Thanks for watching. And before we go, want to say special thumbs up to our dad.
Yeah. Hey, Dad. You want?
Keep fighting, Dad. We love you.
Yep. Love
And,
you, Dad. Hang
We'll
in
see you
there,
this
buddy.
weekend. Take it easy.
Good show, buddy.
See you.